This program is designed to provide general information with regards to the subject matters covered. This information is given with the understanding that neither the hosts, guests, sponsors, or station are engaged in rendering any specific and personal, medical, financial, legal, counseling, professional service, or any advice. You should seek the services of competent professionals before applying or trying any suggested ideas. Magazine publisher and entrepreneur Judith Mancini is sharing captivating conversations with experts in their field about the latest trends in our ever-changing world to help you become healthy, wealthy, and wise. Judith Mancini Today will spark your interest and inspire you to lead your best life ever. And now, here's Judith.
Hello, everybody. We have about 2.5 days until 2004 comes into our lives. And I want to hope that all of you had a Merry Christmas, and leading up to this New Year's Day, I hope that you will have a happy, happy New Year. So today I want to tell you what happened of note in 2023. Now, I'm sure you all recall that 2 wars started and a bunch of tragic shootings and things like that. And I'm not going to dwell on those things today because I want you to lead up to the new year being very positive and happy and joyous and hoping the same for all of your family. So what did happen in 2023? Here are some of the most important events, and I'm sure you'll remember them or recall them, or perhaps you want to take down notes to share with others. Number 1, in January of 2023, actor Edward Norton revealed on Finding Your Roots that his 12th great-grandmother was Pocahontas. Move over, Senator Warren. Secondly, college football national champs, Georgia, number 1, Georgia beat TCU 65-7, 58-point victory. That's the most lopsided victory in the history of college football championships. My goodness. Number 3, Prince Harry released his memoir, Spare, to roaring silence on all of the list. Sorry, Harry, nobody's feeling sorry for you. You made your bed, now you have to lie in it, quite literally. Number 4, Aussie surfer. Now this one is a big one, ladies. Listen to this. Aussie surfer Laura Inver set a world record on largest wave ever by a woman, 43.6 feet on Oahu's North Shore. Did you get that? 46.6 feet. Man, that's bigger than a 4-story building. Good for you. And number 5, our friend, second moon man, Buzz Aldrin, married his longtime love, Laura, on his 93rd birthday. We'll never forget the time he came to our home for a sit-down, fancy dinner, and he was our guest of honor. Fun times. Way to go, Buzz. It took you long enough to get her. All right, here comes February. You know what happened? Ozzy Osbourne announced his retirement from touring. You know, he'd been ill for quite a while. He's been diagnosed with Parkinson's and all. So he's still around. You see him once in a while with his beautiful wife. She takes such good care of him. So sorry we won't see you eating any bats and things like that anymore, Ozzy, on your tours. Here comes February again. February confirmed the FBI, confirmed that COVID-19 originated in the Wuhan lab. No kidding? Took them long enough. Nothing else happened in February because we're not talking about bad things. The second thing that happened is OpenAI released GPT-4. And is this really me speaking? Or is it AI, artificial intelligence? Willie Nelson in April celebrated his 90th birthday with a 2-day concert. Man, these people have a lot of energy. Do you think it's because he smoked marijuana every single day several times? Is that where he got all of his energy? I love Willie. On the road again. Love Willie. Also, SpaceX said that their Starship exploded in space, but it provided lots of invaluable data. Fly me to Mars. Okay, here comes May. In May, Not So Funny Writers Guild began the second longest strike in the history of people in Hollywood being in unions. Basically, it was against AI and wages, of course, but will they receive any residuals or anything written by artificial intelligence? It was a pretty slow month in May, but I celebrated my birthday. It was 76, trombones led the way. Okay, I'm happy to live to 76. Who wouldn't be? I know there's some out there who don't want to grow old or they complain about growing old, but it's a privilege that is not allotted to everyone in the world. So take care of yourself and you can celebrate the 76 trombones. In June, one of our favorite actors, Harrison Ford, was once again, and for the final episode, on the big spring with the last, fifth, and final installment of Indiana Jones. Way to go, Harrison. In July, Elton John ended his touring career. Definitely, we will miss this man. And I will miss him as my former neighbor. In August, this is a disaster that happened. 2 rival driverless taxi companies in San Francisco got the approval to operate 24/7. Yikes, did you get that? That are driverless taxis. I don't know about this. There's been people hit. I think there was even somebody killed. I don't think this is such a great thing, and I'm not calling one of them. Don't people think about the drivers who are now losing their jobs? Oh, I'm only talking about good things. Number 2, get this. Russia landed, or crashed, we can call it, on the moon. It's the last attempt since the 1970s to land upright and have people walking on the moon. Take that, Putin. Okay. Number 3 in August. Yes. Good moves, Rolling Stone. Well, this sort of rolled on over to September. Rolling Stone, the magazine, removed Jan Runnert from Rock and Roll Hall of Fame for his not ever featuring one female or one Black musician or vocalist. All the time he was running Rolling Stone magazine. He was one of the co-founders. Shame on you, but yay that that's what you did. You removed him from the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. If you've never been, you should go. It's really fun. In October, I'll get this, fossil footprints were found in New Mexico, and they confirmed that the Americas at least 21,000 years ago were here, humans. Aha. So that's why some people act like Neanderthals. In November of 2023, the most notable word in 2003, whoopsie, was the most AI was the most notable word in the 2003 edition of Collins Dictionary. Really? I can't even say it, so you know I'm not AI. The second thing, did you know that Colombia is I can't read my notes. Pardon me. Did you know that Colombia is sterilizing Pablo Escobar's wild hippos? Seems he smuggled 4 hippos into Colombia during his reign. And with no natural predators, they have multiplied to several hundred. Apparently, they are very sexy. December, and finally in our last month of 2023, Time magazine named Person of the Year Taylor Swift for success in arts. You know, she's the one that's dating the football player. You know, she's the one who has these massive concerts and everybody loves her and follows her. Okay, so they acknowledged her being superior in the arts, but they could have also noted that she gives a lot to charity and lots of happiness to millions of people. And that's it for 2023. Of course, this is only the fun stuff. We cannot ignore, pardon me, the withdrawal of Afghanistan, inflation, the horrific invasion of migrants, including terrorists and the atrocities of October 7th, the increase of mass shootings in our country, and the rise of anti-Semitism. So what will we do in 2024? What would we like to see done in 2024? There's only 3 days left, 2.5. How will you spend your time? How I'd like to see you spend your time is not looking at that list of resolutions that you made, because you know you're never going to do them. What I want you to do is think about what would make you happy and what would make you healthy and what would make you wealthy. You know, there's all kinds of wealth. It's not just monetary. It's also your own personal health is wealth. It's also your state of mind. Are you a happy person? Are you a sad person? We all have different things that have happened in our lives. People who have passed away, people that are born, people that come out of our lives and come back into our lives. You know, I have been pleasantly surprised after our move in October, the end of October, to the desert. I was going to be very, very quiet down here. I was going to concentrate on my business. I was going to concentrate on my husband. and hoped that my daughter and her family would come visit us, which they already have. But to my pleasure, many of my girlfriends must follow me on Facebook or listen to my podcast because I have gotten innumerable invitations from several people who have already moved to the desert and would like to reconnect. So when I talk about striving and thriving, I want you to strive to contact people that you didn't get to see over the Christmas holidays, people who have been in your life for many years, and maybe you don't talk to them very often, but you still consider them very close to your heart. I want you to make a list of those people. I have a list of several girlfriends that I would like to talk to. I'd like to wish them Merry Christmas and Happy New Year because Christmas doesn't end in one day. So it goes on, and you should continue to be grateful for it. And you should write those people down, send them a note, or give them a call on the phone. I don't know what you put on your list of resolutions. I hope you more or less put down things that are going to improve your life and hence make you happier as you live a longer, healthier life. Next year, I will be having some people that are into different kinds of medicine. They may be herbalists, naturopathic doctors, they may be chiropractors, they may be psychoanalysts, they may be business people, they may be life coaches. I have a ton of people that are supposed to be coming on, and we're getting into the calendar and scheduling them already. So I think you will enjoy joining us for those. Now, what did you get for Christmas? I think that was a problem this year for several people. Inflation is supposedly going down. But when inflation goes down, that doesn't mean that the price of food or cars or anything else is going down. Fuel for your car, your electric bill, your gas bill. Oh, and how come Kamala Harris, who keeps telling us that we should get rid of gas appliances and all, is seen in all of her little snippets of she and her husband, the first gentleman, are standing in front of a gas stove. Now, I like gas stoves. Cooking with gas is my favorite thing to do. But nobody is thinking about, nobody in the administration apparently, is thinking about what will happen if we get rid of all of our gas appliances, our water heaters, our gas stove, our forced gas heat, fuel for our cars. Oh, and speaking of cars, you saw that there were blizzards across the plains and in the east. And did you see the one post of the man who has an electric car and he said he's freezing out there, the temperature is dropping. He doesn't dare turn on the car to warm up because it's using the electricity, the so-called fuel, and he's almost an empty, and there's no place to go recharge. And there are hundreds of cars lined up like this. Way to go. President Biden wants to get rid of all gas vehicles by 2050. That's not very long. Are you ready to do that? I don't know. If we want to do things to improve our carbon footprint and get rid of the noxious gases that are floating above us, why don't we lean on places like China and Singapore with what they're doing to the skies above? Now, a while back, my husband and I went on to a business trip to Singapore. we were given a lovely suite that overlooked the bay and said we had a view room. Unfortunately, we couldn't see beyond our patio. When we left Singapore, the city, to go to this special resort that the company had provided for us, we were in a little boat, a ferry boat, so to speak, but it was high powered and went fast. And I'm not sure what you call them, but it would seat 20 people with the captain of it and the other employees on board. And in the bay, getting out of Singapore and trying to go to this island where all of these cargo ships were, it was hard to see the ships next to us. And we often passed by with not more than 10 feet in clearance. When you're walking down the streets of Singapore itself, you wear a mask because it is so polluted. So why don't we talk to people about that instead of laying it all on us? Because we are cleaning up what happens in our country. And yet we still have people drinking polluted water. Camp Lejeune. For goodness sakes, how would something like that happen? I want to know why it was polluted. Do you know why it was polluted? I don't. Somebody put poison in it? Or was it somebody buried barrels of chemicals next to it and it leached out of the barrels into the water? I don't know. So I'm talking about a whole bunch of different things today that I want to be on your list of what is happening in our country and what you can do to help others and to help yourself lead a happier, more fulfilled life. Did you also write down what you wanted to do about your health? Are you looking for a new doctor? Are you writing down your symptoms of what you're not feeling good about? Are you starting to get a little arthritis in your fingers and your hands, or maybe even your toes? Are you having heart palpitations? Does your gut scream at you all the time because you have acid reflux or you have leaky gut and you don't know it? Go get a physical this year. You know, you should get a physical every year and you should have your blood tested. You should get a full blood count done and you should check other things like your thyroid, your white blood cell counts, and your blood workup. A whole lot of tests as you grow older. Now, I firmly believe that women, once they enter their late 60s, early 70s, they don't need to go have a pap smear. But that's up to you and your gynecologist. I think men should go have a prostate test once a year. Some of the things that come up with cancer and all do come in your older age. And so you should be talking to a geriatric doctor or a doctor who does follow you all of your life and be sure that they have older patients and they know what is supposed to be happening in normal aging. All right, what else are we talking about today? One of the things as you grow older, you need to get more rest. It's good to get 6 or 7 or 8 hours of sleep as you grow older. Many of us stay up half the night, and many of us sleep for just a few hours and wake up in the middle of the night and can't go back to sleep. Some of this is caused by your bad habits of thinking that you have to have several alcoholic drinks before you go to sleep. Alcohol keeps you awake. It is depressing sometimes too, depressing to your psychological well-being. But it's not depressing if you go out and drink socially, and 1 or 2 drinks a night is good for you. It helps you to relax when you're out socially. Wine, red wine, is good for your heart and your circulation. Yes, that's been proven. And a lot of people, even in their older age, started smoking marijuana, oh my gosh, when they were younger. There have been several studies that say that marijuana is bad for you, and there have been several studies that say that marijuana is good for you. Anything taken to excess is bad for you. So this should be on your list for 2004 also. Any kind of drugs are not good for you. Now, out here in Los Angeles and in New York, particularly during the 80s and the 90s, when Wall Street and venture capital and all of these people came in, there was a lot of celebrating with cocaine. The same in the movie industry, the entertainment industry. Cocaine was passed around parties in big bowls, and everybody would take a little bit. I'm not a druggie because I have a very low tolerance of alcohol and pills that the doctor makes me take. I don't take a lot of pills, but I will admit to taking a little Ambien so I could sleep after I lost my son. And there's nothing wrong with doing that if you have somebody guiding you through it. When you go through a tragedy in your life, you probably do need sleep help. Or maybe just because you're growing older. So that's something that you may want to put on your list for 2024. And speak to a doctor or a psychologist or any kind of professional that can specialize in sleep and see why you aren't sleeping. Maybe it's just a habit you need to get back into. You need to turn off your brain from worrying. And there's a lot of things to be worrying about right now. Don't fool yourself. Some of you miss your children and your relatives as you grow older in your 80s. And I know I have some people in their 80s and 90s who listen to me. So, of course, you're getting lonely. And that's where the list of your friends that you haven't talked to come through. And some of you do participate in Facebook. Facebook has become over the years a great place for people who are aging to communicate with one another. Probably you don't want to communicate on X or Snapchat or something like that because it's not your age group. So I think you could easily find people on Facebook your age and of your same interest in life. I have often talked about high school reunions and college reunions. I never made really fabulous friends in college. I don't know why. I just wasn't interested in it. And I actually quit college. And I think I told that story on the show one time with my crazy professor. But I do keep in touch with some of my high school friends, and we have a great active class of summer of 65. But also remember, if you're listening to me and you graduated in the 70s or something, yours wasn't the same as we were. We were kind of the summer of love. You know, the hippie people, the hippies that wanted to do nothing but spread love and burn bras and protest the war. But then there were those of us who were very patriotic, and many of our classmates were drafted. Yes, you don't know out there if you're in your 40s what the draft was like. It was terrifying. But that's how we built our army up. And we had many, many people who were very patriotic and loved their country and their fellow man and joined the various services. And I commend them, as I always do. That's a whole nother show with the people from Vietnam and other wars. And maybe you want to study something in 2024. And I would urge you to study what happened during the wars and why they came about. With all this anti-Semitism, you might do well for yourself to read about who started Vietnam War. And it wasn't the United States, so you should read about it. We didn't end it either. We tried to evacuate everybody, and that was not too successful. But we were not successful in Afghanistan either. So these are all subjects that fall under the category on my show of whys. If you don't have too much to do during the day, why don't you pick up a book instead of watching? I don't even know if soap operas are still on anymore. And so many people have turned to Roku and streaming and all. But there are also wonderful shows on television or whatever your entertainment is these days that teach you things that you might want to learn. It's everything from cooking shows to history. And they're quite fascinating. You can go back to prehistoric days. You can go through the rise of Christianity and some of the atrocious things they did for that. So turn on the TV, and I'm not touting Discover Station, but discover something that might hold your interest and educate you a little more. And you know what? The subject might come up at your next cocktail party or your next ladies' luncheon. And you can be educated and tell them some little secrets that they never knew before. Or you could study art or music. You could do all of this on streaming instead of watching the gossip of the latest love romance of Taylor Swift, like I spoke of earlier. It would be fun and interesting to do that. Or perhaps you want to start a little group with different subjects, much like a book club. Maybe you want to call your girlfriends that live around you and go to someplace fun for lunch and have the subject chosen to discuss and get all of their opinions on maybe the next election, maybe what to do about the school situation where they're teaching our kids things that you don't want them to be taught. Maybe it's just something about the latest rose that was developed. Maybe you're into gardening. Use your imagination and put these down on your list for 2024 and see what you can check off and how you can make your life more enjoyable. Don't forget you need to have exercise, and that should be on your 2024 list. I just hate to call them resolutions because nobody keeps up with their resolutions. So put it on your I want list, I dream list, and see if you can accomplish some of them. For instance, I dream about keeping on a schedule where I take a morning walk every day. And I also dream that I didn't have the noise outside my studio that's going on for some reason right now, never before. So there's lots of things to dream about and wish about. And I hope that you will put some of those things down also. Another thing you might think about as you're growing older and you're striving and you're thriving, you can thrive in so many different directions, not just monetarily, as some of you would like to do now, because you'd like a little extra spending money during this time of high prices and inflation. You can thrive in different ways, and one of them is your health. So try to get that sleep, get out of bed. And when you get out of bed in the morning, first thing you do after you say your prayers is stretch way up and just bend a little to the side and then go get that cup of coffee or whatever you're doing. That will help you get your good day going in the right direction. And after that, I want you to take your daily walk, whether you walk with a friend, companion, or somebody just next door that's your next door buddy. Go take a walk. Maybe you have a pet, and pets for older people are wonderful. And if you don't have one, think about going and adopting one. You can adopt a kitty cat that will stay in the house with you all the time if you have trouble walking. We don't want you to be taking a dog out if you're off balance. So a dog is a wonderful pet for people. And I was looking up dogs that would be perfect for people aging. Those are poodles. Poodles are easy to train and very loyal and very gentle and don't need much brushing and bathing if you take them periodically to the groomer. The reason I say this is because I want you to think about adopting a pet, but I prefer you don't go and buy a pet from a pet store, particularly, or a breeder that's interbreeding all these pets that are on the market today. So think about adopting. That's just one thing that I prefer to do, and I hope you would do it also. Let's talk a little about grooming when you're growing older. It seems to me that people, as they grow older, forget that people still see them, but most important, you see that face in the mirror. Be sure you get your hair cut. Be sure you get your hair colored. So my gray is showing. It won't be showing next week. You want to be sure you get your haircuts and whatever you do to yourself. You want to get a manicure, a pedicure. You want to take care of yourself like you once did when you were younger. And if you can't do it yourself, think about using your health insurance, your Medicare, what have you, whatever you're doing. Ask your kids if they have an idea, if they could get somebody to come in and help you once a week, twice a week, whatever you can afford, whatever you wish. Because it's very difficult and it's very challenging if you don't have step-in tubs. Now, it seems like I'm advertising all these things for people, but I'm not. I'm just simply telling you that 2024 is when we are going to thrive and strive and thrive to make our lives more blissful as we are aging. We're the lucky ones that get the chance to do it. So before I leave you, I want to just say that I pray that everybody will be safe and healthy in 2024. I want you to start turning on the news all the time now. I want you to be prepared for any kind of national emergencies. There are people on television, wise people that have spoken to military people, secretaries of the different departments in the government that are all warning that we could have a black swan event. Do you even know what a black swan event is? I didn't. The only thing I knew about was in the ballet. So I want you to look it up, and I want you to turn on the television or the streaming, what have you, look it up and see who's talked about it. They're very legitimate people. It's an event like 9/11, where you hear some intelligence or you read some intelligence about countries who absolutely hate us. And unfortunately, we're living in a time when the United States is no longer looked at as the most powerful nation in the world. It has been slipping for the last 3.5 years. A black swan event is when you see the intelligence, but you think it's just chit chat and you're not paying enough attention to it. There was chatter on the airwaves before 9/11, and some people still say that it was made up. It was real. We lost over 2,000 people. We don't want that to happen again. And if the people in the military and the Department of Defense and different places like that are now talking about this, the person I heard it from was Catherine Heritage, who is started out on National Public Radio years ago. She's very well informed, and she has passed it on that we are vulnerable to a black swan attack. So I want you to be prepared. These are not just conspiracy theories. Our intelligence has fallen down. If we can't even figure out what the FBI was doing, listening to United States citizens and arresting people that shouldn't have been arrested and all, there's stuff going on that we want to watch. So put that on your list too, please. Inform yourself. Be prepared. And most of all, love yourself and love others. And with that, I'm going to close a little early today. I thank you all for joining me. I wish you all a joyful, happy, healthy, wonderful new year. And I leave you with these words: cherish yesterday, dream tomorrow, and live today. Thank you.